Hi, called Punpisa here. Here are some thoughts, logical thoughts. We know that we create the mind with our brains. We know that. It's like 2 plus 2 equals 4. Unless we get into quantum mechanics, then it can be anything. We're not discussing theories of quantum mechanics now. Basically, that the mind, that the brain, via neurons, synapses, and other structures, like the universe within, create the mind. Now, we know that we evolved mutated primates. We're creating thinking. We're creating all these delusions of God with our brains. When they malfunction, of course, you cannot tell between fantasy and reality. We're all born atheists. In other words, lacking belief. Atheism means lacking belief, especially in irrational things. When we're young, when we're born, we go through the imprinting period. We absorb a lot of information in our brains from our parents, and we cannot really tell between fantasy and reality yet. Somebody tells us, about the tooth fairy, about boogeyman and all that, to make us behave. Our parents tell us that. Then we believe it. And we get mature, grow up, start began getting educated and realizing that certain things are not true, they're illogical. Not everybody does that. A brain that malfunctions, it's not quite, it's a little bit feeble, slightly retarded, delayed, might not pick up that. And, it can, being young, and it can be teased by their friends in school. Slow learner. A person that is a slow learner will tend to accept religion, religious beliefs. We are all delusion. They're all based on fantasies, things that are not there. And the society, certain societies, will tell you that they exist, and it's faith. But what is faith? Faith also comes from the brain. Faith is always inversely proportional to the knowledge and information you acquire. If somebody tells you that the moon is made out of cheese, and many people believe that, you accept it as true, despite there's no evidence. That's what is faith. Faith is something that has to be accepted without evidence. But see, the problem is that accepting things without evidence is wishful thinking, and is based on ignorance. After the landing on the moon and all that, you regolite, what they call the moon dust, we know that it's not made out of cheese. Like we know now that the earth is a sphere, and it's not the center of the universe. But why some people believe in gods and demons and spirits, which are all created by our brains? They amount to like a way of the brain to appease and to act as an anesthesia to the reality of life. Because the moment we are born, we begin to die. And the awareness of this fact can be very, very scary. The idea that we're going to decompose and we're going to die, and there's no life after death, nothing, we decompose, we get eaten by worms, and by flies, maggots, do all this bunch of stuff, and then Well, that's life. We're nothing but crazy apes that create this delusion called God, demons, spirits, and all that to actually cope with death, the fear of death. One thing that is people do not realize is they have this makes actually the believing God and the Bible completely ridiculous. And not the only true God, because there are as many gods as the brain can create. You know, this book, the Bible, which is garbage. It's another fairy tale book. It's not different than the Greek mythology, the religion mythology, and thousands of other texts and fantasies that the mind creates to cope with the finality of life. And that's, you know, it makes it ridiculous to say, well, you know, God, Christ is the only God and he's your Savior. And in the United States, when people say God, do you believe in God? They're actually meaning, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And you think the devil exists? Well, when they say that, they're referring to the Christian devil, to the invention, the called Satan, which, you know, Satan is a ridiculous, a stupid name. But it's like fairy tales that a person hasn't been able to shed and to grow out of them. This is the reason I call people of faith, especially Christians, retarded. Because they still believe in these little fantasies to be reality, not realizing that we are in the 21st century. And they completely reject science because they don't understand it. So in the moment they don't understand it, it's not true. So they cannot understand science because their brains are dysfunctional. Believing God is a belief in something that is irrational, a concept emanating from the brain that is irrational. It's like believing 2 + 2 = 5. Believing in demons, demonic possession, spirits, and all that. That is irrational. And those beliefs, which are produced in the brain, they can be produced in a lab by giving people manipulating the temporal lobes, giving a person a lobotomy that will cure believing God immediately. See, might make a lot of the Christians a little bit more intelligent. Give them a lobotomy. But see, if affecting the brain, there's no God. So this only tells us that belief in God is a psychosis. It's a neurological disorder, not much different than schizotypia, schizophrenia, temporal lobe epilepsy, and so many others, delusions-inducing disorders, because the person is accepting something that is illogical and completely irrational as it was reality. When somebody says, yes, I'm a Christian, well, they do not realize that if you say, I am a Christian, that means that you are accepting as true that 2,000 years ago, a man from Jerusalem, that was a preacher that did all these miracles, he walked on water, he resurrected Lazarus, and he acted very gay when he did that, and then was crucified, and then he resurrected to save mankind from the sin committed by a mud created man and a river when they accepted a forbidden fruit from a talking snake. That is deluded and a psychosis, no different than a schizophrenia. But we must accept that. Religious belief are a psychosis. Christianity is the worst of them. And we must expose it for what it is. Just a form of schizophrenia that nobody seems to see. Pace di oro.